Greetings, Brexbliss here with another vague character review, and this one is Enerjak from the Archie Sonic comics. Now, Enerjak first appeared in Knuckles the Echidna comic, and he was supposed to be the antagonist that was only supposed to appear a few times and then promptly defeated. Now, Enerjak originally was a scientist, an echidna scientist named Dimitri, who tried to experiment with the Chaos Emeralds to help his people. Now, there was a problem with him trying to use the Chaos Emeralds and, his own technology, and the resulting explosion bathed Dimitri in chaos energy and drove him insane. Now, Dimitri at first tried to fight against the other echidnas, but then some rocks fell on him and he was promptly buried and left there after I think the entire cavern where the Chaos Emeralds were collapsed in on itself. And he lay there for years, I believe hundreds of years, until he awoke in the Knuckles comic and attacked Knuckles. Now, Dimitri was defeated promptly, not by Knuckles exactly, but by the fire ants. Sort of, how do I put it? They buried under Dimitri's citadel that he created, and somehow it floated up into space. And from what I can gather, because of the way the citadel was shaped, Dimitri couldn't escape it. He was basically imprisoned in his own fortress until he was summoned again to Earth. Now, I won't go into details, but after this Dimitri was defeated, there was two more different versions of Dimitri. One was by Knuckles, and another was by an alternate Knuckles. And you can sort of see the pattern here. Enerjak originally was supposed to have been just one guy who called himself Enerjak, but because of sort of a mistake in the original dialogue, one of the characters said that when Enerjak first appeared, this is the Legendary Enerjak. The problem was, this was also the first comic in which Dimitri called himself Enerjak before Knuckles and the group, meaning there was no way anyone could have known his identity before that because he was just called Dimitri and had vanished. So the writer Ian Flynn later on decided to retcon that and say, well, Enerjak was actually around for a long time. And it's not just one individual, but Enerjak is actually the spirit of an old echidna named, I believe, Albion, who went insane after he was experimenting with the Chaos Emeralds. And the Ancient Walkers, realizing how dangerous he was, I guess defeated him. It wasn't very clear how, but they defeated him. And because Enerjak, I guess, was so powerful, or so tuned, or so morphed with the chaos energy itself, all the Ancient Walkers could do was scatter his spirit in the Chaos Force itself. So Enerjak by itself is helpless. But when a new host comes along and tries to use the Chaos Emeralds and I guess becomes corrupted, the spirit goes inside of them. So they possessed individuals. They still are themselves, just persuaded by Enerjak's dark desires, which is to rule and or destroy everything. Now, there is also a pattern with each Enerjak, and that is they're never actually been defeated in one-on-one combat. Dimitri the Enerjak, Knuckles never technically defeated him. He just held him off until he was trapped in his own fortress. The second time they faced off, Enerjak overwhelmed Knuckles in power. Knuckles couldn't do anything. Enerjak teleported him to space, into water. Enerjak killed him, actually, until the Ancient Walkers revived Knuckles. And Enerjak was only defeated when Mammoth Mogul used the Sword of Acorns to absorb all of Enerjak's chaos energy. And because Enerjak is mostly consistent of chaos energy, Dimitri was literally almost a lifeless husk when that was done. The next time we see Enerjak, it was when Knuckles was tricked into using the Master Emerald's power, which had been corrupted by Finitivus. So Knuckles became brainwashed into becoming the new Enerjak. And again, no one could stop Knuckles' Enerjak. The only one who stood up to Knuckles was Super Sonic. And this battle was interesting because Super Sonic, he was overwhelming Enerjak Knuckles in every way. Knuckles tried to teleport Super Sonic to the middle of the earth. Sonic just dug right out. Knuckles Enerjak tried to shoot him with Energy Blast. And thanks to Super Sonic's invulnerability, it did nothing. But even so, Super Sonic still couldn't take down Knuckles Enerjak. He was winding him down, but Enerjak just wouldn't stop. Until Knuckles' father sacrificed himself to, I guess, purify the Master Emerald, which in turn released Knuckles from his brainwashing. Now, I'm going to say if the battle had continued, Super Sonic would have probably killed Knuckles Enerjak. So, I'll give that a possibility. And the other time, I believe the last time we see Enerjak, it is in an alternate universe. Silver the Hedgehog, who is from the future, came to a version called Dark Mobius. And in this one, it is really dark. Because this Knuckles Enerjak not only defeated Super Sonic, but he defeated every single other character. So you see in one room, Knuckles, I'm going to call him Dark Enerjak. He has an entire room filled with people, and they all looks like they have their souls taken from their bodies. So you see Eggman, Finitivus, Sonic, Shadow. They've all been defeated, and the only ones left to fight Dark Enerjak were just a couple of characters, and they didn't stand a chance. And Silver the Hedgehog himself fought Dark Enerjak one-on-one. Now, Silver didn't beat him per se, but he lasted long enough for Janika to use the Sword of Acorns to absorb Dark Enerjak's chaos energy, rendering him literally an old, extremely old, and stooped over Knuckles. And Janika herself absorbed the power of Enerjak and became the new Enerjak. But thankfully, she wasn't corrupted. So, that's a good ending, yeah, for Dark Mobius. But anyway, that's Enerjak. Enerjak is a spirit that goes to a host, and when they're defeated, the spirit goes back into the Chaos Force. Now I'm going to give a quick rundown of Enerjak's powers. So, Enerjak is the same thing as a super form. The difference is, when a character is possessed by Enerjak, they don't get a different fur color, they get armor, which looks really cool. But yeah, they get armor, and they can fly, super speed, super strength. But the big difference, I think, between Enerjak and a super form is, someone like Super Sonic, he's granted invulnerability. Enerjak does not have that. When Knuckles in his space form fought Enerjak, he actually was able to hurt him. When Silver used his psychic abilities to reverse Dark Enerjak's attacks back at him, that hurt him. So, Dark Enerjak lacks invulnerability, but he makes up for it with an array of other powers. He has an attack called, I believe, Thunder Lightning or Lightning Arrow. Basically, it's like Chaos Spear. He shoots a bunch of lightning, literally lightning bolts at you. He can teleport you anywhere. He can break you down to matter. He can literally alter reality as he wishes. When Knuckles Enerjak confronted the Dingos, he teleported the entire civilization to a desert. And the one dingo, I can't remember his name, he's part robot, he broke him down to the atom and killed him, pretty much. He can absorb other forms of energy. He can create buildings out of nowhere if he wishes. And the I think the huge difference between Enerjak and a super form is a super form is very limited. Supersonic, Hyper Knuckles, etc. They can only keep the super form for so long before the power dies out. Enerjak, at least every version I've seen, when they're in that form, it's permanent. Until they're defeated, they can stay in that form for hundreds and hundreds of years and have no ill side effects. Well, except the corruption part. So in a sense, Enerjak is, in the long run, I'm going to say is more powerful and dangerous than a super form. But if they were to fight one-on-one to the death and it was quick, I would say a super form could probably take down Enerjak only because of the invulnerability. But yeah, that's my vague character review for a really cool character that sadly only exists in the art